as late as at our summit in Wales last year. But what we decided also in Wales was that the first applicant or aspirant country we are going to address is Montenegro, and as I said, we're going to address Montenegro later this year. Then on Sweden, but anyway, also I appreciate the very close cooperation we have with Georgia, and Georgia is also contributing a lot to many different NATO operations. So we already have a very important partnership which we have to, to develop, and which is of importance. Then on Sweden and Finland, you said that you would try to push me a bit further. You will not succeed. Also, I can talk for some minutes, but I will not say anything more of substance about that. It's easy to joke about this, but I think it's so important that it has to be a Swedish and or a Finnish decision. I think that everything I say about the advantages and the disadvantages and how different things can affect the debates within Sweden and Finland can only be misused and misunderstood. So if I was a journalist, or if I was, a scientist, or if I was anything else than the Secretary General of NATO, I could say a lot. But because I'm the Secretary General of NATO, I can say very little. And then add to that, I'm a Norwegian. And then so that's the reason why I'm saying so little. But I think there is debate now in Sweden and Finland, and we just have to follow that. And it's a democratic decision of them in democratic nations, countries, to decide whether they would like to apply. And then, of course, we will assess the application in the same way as we assess any other applications. But let me add, and you also alluded to that, we have a partnership with Sweden and Finland, and we are developing that. And they are enhanced opportunity partners, and we are really doing more and more together with them. And actually now there's we're exercising together with the Swedes and the Finns. Yeah. We are sharing information, and we are working more and more closely together with them. And at the foreign ministerial meeting of NATO in Antalya a few weeks ago, we decided to go further in developing our partnership with Sweden and Finland. So they are really close partners. We do a lot of work together with them, and I welcome that.
The South.
The South, yeah. To the east, we see challenges, threats related to a state. And we respond in a way which is in a way familiar to what we have done before, collective defense, and so on. To the south, we meet and we are faced with non-state threats and challenges. And that's a much more mixed and complicated picture. We see violence, turmoil in Iraq, Syria, in North Africa. We see people trying to cross the Mediterranean. And we also see terrorist attacks taking place in our streets, inspired by some of the ISIL and other terrorist organizations in the south. I welcome that all NATO allies contribute to the coalition, the US-led coalition fighting ISIL. And I think we have to understand that one of the reasons why NATO allies and NATO partners can contribute to this coalition is that they have developed interoperability. They have learned how to work together through the cooperation in NATO and through, for instance, working together in Afghanistan and other NATO missions. So even though this is not a NATO operation, NATO-led operation, I think a lot of NATO experience, NATO knowledge, NATO interoperability is very useful for the coalition fighting ISIL. Then, in addition, NATO is, we decided in Wales last year to develop defense capacity building as a new important tool. And I think the defense capacity building is key for the South, because I believe very much in the idea that we should try to project stability by building local forces, local institutions, so they can take more responsibility for their own security, and thereby we can project stability without always deploying large number of NATO forces. And we are doing that in Jordan. We have boosted substantially our cooperation with Jordan.